Everybody I talk to, like, oh, don't do it. You're gonna be responsible for all of them. This is gonna be a big thing. So there's a lot of risks. For some reason, I did not feel that way. We just wanted to help people, uh, and we actually I posted it online somewhere uh, in one of the chats, and that was kind of the beginning of it all. Where a lot of churches were sponsoring kind of Christians and even our church, a lot of the family members, they're sponsoring them to bring to US. Our ministry ended up being we sponsored everybody that were not Christian, never been to church. They never seen church or Christians, which turned out to be a great ministry for us over the last 2 years. So we sponsored over 200 people overall that came to the States. Yeah, about 150 went through our house mostly.
Yeah, Vitaliy, thank you for your time today. We're honored to speak with you. I think it would be helpful. You have such an interesting background. I think it'd be helpful to tell a little bit about your family, how you came to America, and how your family ended up here, and how you got into business.
Sure. Yeah, the honor is mine. I still to this date, over the last year, I mean, that's the whole introduction to Lloyd and everything we've been kind of learning in my 30s. So it's been a great blessing for me and my family, I think, to get to meet guys like you and get on this journey of life and creating that 100x impact. I think it's a huge blessing for me and for my family and probably for the kids to come. So uh, I was born in Soviet Union in 1987 in a really small town. So I think we had under 30,000 people there. But we lived outside the city, if you can call it a city, where we planted our own food. We grew everything we ate. We didn't have any money to go out and buy stuff, so whatever we preserved for the winter, that's that's what we had. So we lived in a house. We grew on our potatoes, tomatoes, everything, you name it. So well, that and that family environment, I think, produced the hard work in a lot of our kids. So we're a family of 6 kids. So with kind of raising cows, chickens, I mean, you name it. Yeah, it wasn't farming for others; it was just for ourselves, right? So that's what you have to do to live, and that was kind of our childhood. And grew up in a Pentecostal family, and our parents, my dad was a leader in our church, so we had a small church at our house, mostly um, 20 to 30 people, and so that was kind of the environment that we were growing up in. Um, I still remember to this day when the KGB would come over to our house and would sit in the back. I think it was some sort of a sect. But that was when the fall of the Soviet Union happened, right? So there's still that mentality there. Um, but through that environment, we had an opportunity to move to the States in 1994. But my father did not want to do that, so it took him 6 years to decide. Once we got a little bit older, and my brother had to go to the army, and nobody wants to go to army in Russia, so that was the time for us to get out, and we had an opportunity to come to the Washington State, kind of settled in just out north of Seattle. I was 14 at that time, 6 kids. My dad had $100 in his pocket. We had friends, family friends that took us in their 3 bedroom apartment. They had 4 kids. We had 6 kids. That was our first half a year in America. Uh, but we loved every bit of it for us as kids, and we enjoyed it. This is something new, a journey. Everything we saw in the TV and the movies and dreamed of, especially where we came from, right? It's like village, you got cows on one side, and now you're living in the city. So as a child, that was a great experience. So we did not feel any financial pressure, but our parents did. So they worked in 3 jobs. They try to support us, and then I think within a year we're able to get into our own apartment. And then my brother went to work, and I went to school, middle school. And then through that, I went to high school. And then in 20, 2005, I started running start and then dropped out of it to go work in construction. So I dropped out of school, did not finish school, and I started working in construction industry as a subcontractor. And that was kind of my start in getting my hands and feet dirty in the construction industry. So when I was 17, that's when I met my wife at a church, and we got married a year later. So I turned barely 19. We got married. She was 17. Turned 18 in a month after that. So I got started early, our family, and then but right around that time as well, I started my first business. It was as a siding contractor. And then in the middle of that, 2008 happened as well. So got to feel that pain. So as our business was taking off, and yeah, and at that time we were doing a few $1 million a year, which was more than I could ever imagine as a contractor. Especially, I mean, consider where we came from. I mean, $1 million a year was something unheard of in our
No
world.
kidding.
So I was all
Hey,
excited, just trying to try to earn as much as I can, but had no knowledge of business or structure or kind of economy, how everything works. It was more like, hey, how much money can I make this month? Uh, that was kind of the beginning of my business journey. I don't know if I'm going
Vitaliy,
too fast
did
or if you
you
want to ask
no,
questions in the middle of it.
you're doing great. Did you speak English when you showed up to America, or just had to learn it here?
No, we had to learn from scratch. We actually learned German. I don't know why we learned German in our school. So it was actually more difficult for us to learn because we knew how to read, but we were reading in German because it's the same letters. So that created more issues for us. But
Yeah.
yeah, learn it in school. My parents kind of speak English, but my mom uses a lot of sign language still. So
Yeah. Is your wife American, or is she from Russia as well?
yeah, so she's from Ukraine. So they immigrated in 2006 from Donetsk area. That's where actually the war started. So
Yeah.
their city and their town where they lived. That was one of 2014 when that first happened, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Yeah. So they were lucky to get out of that at that time. So they moved a year. Within a year, I met her in church and we got married. So she had kind of stole her first before she got to meet anybody else.
Wise move. So, did you go through financial trouble in 2008 when the financial crisis hit?
Yeah. So we as my siding business was taking off, had 15 crews working at that time, and I was kind of flying up high, making the money. We started another business with my father. My father's background is metal manufacturing, so we started a metal shop in 2007, like right before the crash. And then 2008 hit, and we lost our first house with my wife. We just bought a house like late 2007, like so within a year and a half, we lost our house, we lost our cars. We had a newborn child on our hand, and then we had to move into apartments. Uh, and going from I don't think it was like $20,000 a month to $3,000 a month. So it was a humbling experience and a lot of lessons and um, that we had to go through. But at the same time, I think God used that as an opportunity to get me back in church. Because as you're young, you're kind of making money, you're kind of start focusing on that, and then within the crash, 2008 to 2010, I really got involved in church and missions, and a lot of learning happened within that time. I started learning business, I got into books a lot, so I was kind of listening to books every day. So that was my learning experience, I would say, which turned out to be a great blessing and gave me a good start when the economy started to recover. So,
What else do you feel like you learned in that season? Like you grew up poor, you started making a bunch of money, then you lost it. What did you feel like you learned during that season?
well, so I mean, we're going through an economy challenges right now, right? So and when me and my wife spoke recently, like, hey, if that's the worst that could happen in the U.S., you get back into an apartment, you still have plenty of food, you get a roof over your head, and we're not going to be on the streets. Um, that just gives a lot of safety, and like, hey, God will take care of the rest. And there's a lot less worrisome. Like I was really concerned when the whole thing fell apart, like emotionally and as a person. I think I was beating myself too much. And my wife was my best supporter at that time. She told me, "Oh, you'll get through it. You'll come out better on the back end." But for me, it was a big deal. But now looking at it, like, hey, it's uh, God used that as an opportunity to teach a lot of things and not to hold on to things as well. So, and I think as 2011, 12 started to happen, it was that mentality was very different. One of the books that kind of changed my um, mindset quite a bit was Business for the Glory of God. I don't know if you read it or not. Coming from a kind of a Slavic background, very conservative Christians, business was something that could not live in a Christian environment. So you'd never mix business and church. And even to this day, actually, a lot of within a lot of churches, like if you're in business, it's kind of it's connecting with a negativity of some sort for a lot of older people in church because they think it's money and it's driven by money and it's driven by greed. And in order for you to succeed in business, you have to kind of do certain things or step over your shoulders and a lot of sin involved within that. So getting through that mentality, I think for me, took me a few years as well. And that book really kind of helped me and changed and shaped my thinking behind that.
So tell us more about, so you said you and your dad, like, so after the financial crisis, is that when y'all got into the home building business?
Well, a little bit later. So we had I had the siding contracting business, and then we started the metal fab. So that business is still alive today. The siding business I sold off in 2016. But so 2011, 2012, we kind of survived business wise. We had a shop. We had to go back to our dad's garage. That's when we started the metal shop. We still have a hole in the back of the garage of my mom's house because the metal could not fit into the garage, so we had to make a doorway for it. So every time we look at it, that reminds us of kind of where we started. And we started in a garage, then we got a shop, then everything crashed. We went back into the garage. Uh, so it's a true garage story for us too. So and then
You and
2011,
Steve Jobs.
2012, yep, the business started to turn around, right? So the contracting business took off, the metal business started taking off. So there's a lot of growth that was happening there. I was ready for it, I would say. So I started expanding that business. We started another metal shop in 2013 with my brother-in-law. So that was my focus. We had the three businesses that we were working on growing, contracted metal fabrication, that's architectural and structural steel, and a sheet metal shop. And in 2014 is when I got into building. So, I mean, most of the contractor's dream is to get into building at some point. So our market was hot. I mean, Amazon was booming in our area, so there's a lot of growth happening in Washington State. So we got into our first project, made some money. Then I'm like, okay, maybe I should get out of my contracting business and focus more on construction. So one of my partners, Nikolai, Lloyd, you've met, he helped me sell a business, which gave us kind of a boost start into our real estate venture. 2016 is when I sold my contracting business. and then 2000, and then invested that money back into the real estate. And then we really formed a holding company with 7 business partners that we currently are working with in 2017. So I would say 2017 was kind of the start of who we are right now as EBM, and that's where I think the vision came together in place and what we wanted to do and why we're in business in the first place. So I would say the previous 10 years was kind of a setup for what happened in 2017, and a lot of knowledge in the businesses that we've had and everything, experience that we built in 2017 is really when we like, okay, we kind of know where we're going. So let's, who else can jump on the board with me? So I put together a team of 7 partners that can help me with the business.
Vitaliy, you and I just had dinner a few weeks ago with all those guys, or most of them. Fun to see people with different skills, but the same Slavic background, same deep faith in relationship with the Lord, and contributing and finding ways to learn to communicate clearly with each other, bring your strengths, tolerate, extend grace to the little quirks that you each have. And so talk about what has been emerging in terms of your passion to bless people's lives, how you're growing and scaling at a pretty dramatic level and studying other home builders that are growing and scaling. So talk about some of those growth goals, and then talk about how at the same time you hope to measure and have a metric or a key performance indicator around blessing people's lives.
So 2017, again, our main vision and foundation behind what we wanted to do is we want to build up an impact culture by developing businesses to bless people's lives. So that became our mission statement. And then that was our foundation. All 7 of us kind of rallied around that mission statement. We're all believers, so we believe that God called us to minister to Him through business, and business is a vehicle that we can serve, and we can bless our customers, we can bless people within our business, and we can impact and show Christ through how we do business. So that was kind of our foundation. Now, that was a thought. We never practiced it. That was something that we dreamed of, and then working together was going to be a process. So one thing I have on top of my door is coming together is only the beginning. Working together is staying together is progress. Staying together is success. So currently we're going through that kind of 7 years been together, and we've successfully got over a 5-year kind of hump. Learned a lot from each other, right? I mean, when you get 7 people in the room, I haven't met anybody with that many partners yet. So that's we didn't know it was unique until we started, looking and talking to other business leaders and other companies, that we were able to stay together for the last 7 years. We've helped each other grow quite a bit. Another book that really could have maybe shaped me quite a bit is 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Probably know that one, right? So one of the things I would say we got really good at is healthy arguments. So we would argue quite a bit. We would, but would not argue about where we're going. I think that's what's holding us together, right? So we know our mission, we know where we're going, we know what we're trying to do. How we get there, sometimes we would disagree, and we would have kind of battles around that, and we would sharpen each other on that level. But I think what's holding us together is that mission to serve Jesus through business, to bless people's lives. And as that evolving and becoming more clearer and clearer, I think we're all excited on that path. Like, okay, how are we able to do that? And real estate has become kind of a big, going from a few projects 7 years ago to a few hundred units and getting closer to $100 million in revenue. That's something I've never dreamed of that would actually be a reality. So we're just excited the way God is using us, and what the future holds.
So, Vitaliy, talk a little bit about you've got a 20-year spreadsheet and talk about what the growth levels are and how you're mastering the skill of going to scale, but also working into that, this idea that you're going to intentionally bless people's lives in very specific ways. So, first, talk about that spreadsheet and the scaling strategy that you've been learning from other Christian builders.
Yeah. So over the last year and a half, so one of the tools that so every year we go on a corporate retreat with the partners, and we spend 3 days kind of thinking about things and look at how are we doing and blessing people's lives. And then one of our last discussions a year and a half ago was, how do we measure blessing people's lives? Like it's very hard to measure that, right? It's just something that lives out there, and we created a tool within our business and that we're rolling out this year, and we're testing it. It's called the BPL scorecard, Blessing People's Life scorecard. And that tool just measures all aspects of the business that we believe of those key metric indicators are at a certain level, let's say level 5, and that's what we're measuring it out of. It achieves our purpose. And the first thing that we start with is a person of substance. So that's the leadership within an organization. So a leader that manages our business, he needs to have the same worldview, he needs to be on the same mission with us, and he needs to kind of live the same vision statement as we do. So each of our businesses have a leader in place outside of the 7 partners. So our job is to work on the business, and then we have leaders within our businesses. So our first kind of measure in this case is the person of substance, like if is the leadership aligns, and then we have a lot of different measuring KPIs that we deal with that, and tools and resources, and then capital. And then the 3 pillars that we're also kind of building everything on is people in our purpose, integrity in our practice, and excellence in our product. So those are the 3 things we're also measuring that against. So that's a tool that we're testing. That's a tool that we created. We feel if we can get all those things measured, and we're looking at the business at a certain level, from the leadership, from the tools and resources, from the capital standpoint, we're able to achieve the mission of blessing people's lives. But that's just a tool, so it doesn't fix the thing. And one of the things that I think, Lloyd, you're relating to this year, the vision that was born out of that is on the Green City side of things. When we build a house, there's about 2.5 people, on average, people per household in the United States. And then it takes about 5 to 6 people, different people, to build a house. So we impact, I would say, anywhere between 8 to 10 people every time we build a new house and we sell a house. Blessing people's lives, that's a kind of a never-ending North Star that we're all shooting for, but I wanted to see if we can measure that. And I did a 2050 vision. So this year, a 2050 vision was born, and we're trying to get on this journey to bless 1 million people through our real estate. That would mean we need to build about 125,000 homes over the next 26 years. It's a lot of growth, but at the same time, I feel like we have a good team in place. There's 7 of us, not just me, working on this, and we're all eager to get on this journey to bless 1 million people. So that's kind of the vision we're on right now. Blessing 1 million people. How do we do that? Do we have the right people in place? Do we have the right partners in place that can help us get there? And that's where we're currently at. Lloyd,
Vitaliy,
I don't know if I answered your question.
Pardon? Yeah, you answered it. Yep. So one other piece before we switch to kind of looking under the hood in your personal life of how you're learning and growing as a leader and sharing God's love inside your family and with those around you and through missions, because I want to hear about your mission work. But when you think about the the role you're playing as a leader with your partners and modeling what it looks like, the fruit of the spirit inside the company. You and I have been on this journey for, I don't know, almost a year now. What are the growth areas that you're working on in your own personal life as a leader who wants to bless people's lives? What are some of the things that are top of mind for you to really continue to grow and allow God to change you?
I think the main one that I realized as I got on this 100x journey is that my spiritual foundation, although I mean the church is great, I'm involved in missions, but uh, I wasn't spending enough daily time with the Lord. Uh, so that was a big realization kind of early on, and my mission is to be a faithful man of God, right on the 100x. And for me, what that means is a holistic approach, to be faithful in all areas that God has trusted me, and that includes family, business, ministry, and personal and spiritual side of things. So I think over the last 7 years, I think I was more focused on more about professional growth and learning and meeting a lot of people there. And over the last year, Lloyd, as we've been on this journey, I think a big focus has been family and faith and relationship with Jesus, daily relationship, right? So it's more of a healthy, balanced approach, not just on Sundays and where we do ministry. So there's a lot of things we do for God. And I've got myself doing a lot of that as we're busy doing things for God, but I'm not enjoying Him in my life, or I caught myself not enjoying Him sometimes. So that was also a realization in my life. So big focus, I would say, family and my kids. So I have 3 kids. My daughter is 16 years old, then I have a 12-year-old and an 11-year-old. So my daughter is already driving, so she's hopefully she does not follow her mom's footsteps and get married in a year. uh, but so I would say a lot of growth is happening there as well within our partnership. I would say trust in each other. That has been over the last 18 months. I think with the economy being the way it is, where sales are not where we want to be. Things are, I know your side on the East Coast, things are slightly different in the construction industry. On the West Coast, we're feeling a lot more pressure, and we've been squeezed quite a bit. So the business is still profitable. So we're blessed to be where we are. But I think a lot of people are feeling pressure. So I found actually myself feeling at peace for some reason. So it's been very peaceful for me. So we got to deal with whatever ahead of us, but there's a lot of inner peace in me, and I think that's been a big growth for us as well. Relying on our partnerships and each other, which is great. I think this is going to set us even for a better foundation as we get further and the economy kind of turns around and things are going to get better. So this year and a half or 2 years, let's say, or even 3 years, once we get through it, I think the partnership will be stronger. I think my spiritual life is going to be stronger. My family hopefully is going to be stronger. So this has been a great blessing for me.
I was going to ask you, how does generosity fit into your blessing people's lives initiative? Is that part of y'all's corporate focus as well?
Yes. So when we started the partnership, so we in our bylaws we have 2% of all of our profits are allocated for nonprofit ministry initiatives. But the way we're currently doing that is on the individual level more than the business side. So that 2% is allocated to the partners, to the 7 partners, because we're all doing ministry also on the side, and we don't all go to the same church. So from the business side, that's kind of our generosity. We see business as a vehicle in the blessing people's lives. This is a mission. This is what we're trying to do there. And then individually within our church and our communities, and we're different communities that we serve, we allocate a certain percentage of our profit for that. So for me, in my church, I'm a missionary director in my church, and our church is about 1,000 people on Sundays. So not huge, but I think we're a large church in the community. So since 2010, so I've been leading mission trips to Mexico, Europe, and local. So with our Mexico projects, so we do trips 3 to 4 times a year. So 3 times a year, we work with kids and we do weekly day camps there. And then 1 time a year, I put a team of guys together and we do a construction trip. Just came back from one on Saturday. So we built a church and a house for a pastor in a village in Mexico. So we'll try to do that on a yearly basis as well.
And Vitaliy, talk a little bit. We're going to switch here to sort of more personal stuff, and this sort of fits into it. Because of your background as an immigrant, you've had compassion on other ethnically Ukrainians because you're Ukrainian by ethnicity. I think you've had 153 immigrants come through your house and sponsored them, and I mean, and I know you're getting worn out at some point. So talk a bit about that.
Yeah, it was quite a journey. So it was actually, so when the war broke out, me and my wife were on a cruise and in Florida. So we're kind of cruising around the Bahamas, and I think we're on our way. That was our last day, and we're on our way back, and yeah, that's when officially the war broke out. So it was hard to comprehend what was happening because we have families on both sides. My wife is right in the middle of it. That's where she was from. So there's family in that area, and then I have families on both sides as well. Even though I was born on the Russian side, but both of my parents were born in Ukraine. So for us, it was never two different countries. It was all the same. Now there's a big line currently divided between who is who, but we never looked at it that way when we were growing up. So as the war broke out, me and actually my partner and our pastor, we set up an initiative to raise $100,000 to help the immediate people in need. So we flew to Poland a month and a half into the war, I think, and we kind of tried to see, okay, where can we help on the ground when you have millions of people that are coming through the border into Poland. So there's a lot of people from our churches, from the communities in the U.S. There's a big Slavic community here that has a heart to help. So we're able to kind of see what help do they need, which people should we send. So we sent a few people there for a longer mission, just to help and people to get across the border and settle. Man, it was one of the things that was really sad to see. A lot of women were passing through the border, and apparently a lot of kidnappings were happening within that time as well, where people use that as an opportunity to kidnap women into slavery in Europe, which was surprising to see. So that was kind of an interesting trip that we had. We came back. We're still supporting kind of financially, and we're sending stuff from our church to help people in Poland, all over Europe. And then when the government came out with the sponsorship program, me and my wife kind of sat down and we said, okay, let's help as many people as we can. So I started filling out applications to sponsor people. It was a brand new program. Nobody knew anything about it. Everybody I talked to, like, oh, don't do it. You're going to be responsible for all of them. This is kind of a big thing. So there's a lot of risks. For some reason, I did not feel that way. We just wanted to help people. And we actually, I posted it online somewhere in one of the chats. And that was kind of the beginning of it all. Where a lot of churches were sponsoring kind of Christians, and even our church, a lot of the family members, they're sponsoring them to bring to US. Our ministry ended up being, we sponsored everybody that were not Christian, never been to church. They've never seen church or Christians, which turned out to be a great ministry for us over the last 2 years. So we sponsored over 200 people overall that came to the States. Yeah, about 150 went through our house mostly. So we would greet the family at our house. They would live at our house for a week, and then we get them settled at a house somewhere in the area, and then the next family would come through. So that was about a year and a half that we had constant people going through our house, sometimes 2 families at a time. And because we're an infill developer in Seattle, so we buy a lot of the older homes that are for demolition purposes. But it takes about a year and a half to get a permit. So all those homes turn out to be a great opportunity where we kind of give out to people to live there. So all of our homes that were standing, sometimes we get renters in there, sometimes we didn't. We cleaned them up a little bit and we settled all the families within those communities. They had no idea. Like, they thought there was gonna be a catch. A week into, they're like, "Okay, so how much do we owe you?" Like, like, what is it? When are you taking our passports? Like, no, we're not taking your passports. We're just here to help, and I think even to this point, a lot of people still have no idea why. But we know why, right? I mean, we're called to serve, and that was our way to show Christ, especially to people that have never experienced that, or the hurt of a sect. Because Baptists and Pentecostals in Russia and Ukraine, they're still considered sects. So that's something that people usually try to stay away from. But they've never experienced what that is. So we invited them to our church. Actually, I would say 60 to 70% of those people go to churches now. So some of them are already getting baptized. Some of them kind of are still on the way there. So that, I mean, we didn't plan for it, but God opened the door. We were there on that calling, and we're able to help a lot of people.
That's awesome. This is my last question before we transition to more like practical advice. Are things on the ground getting better at all in Ukraine, or is it just getting worse and worse?
It's in a lot of areas it's getting worse. Just because they're not feel like they're not gonna give up. And I think the news stopped saying a lot of things, and it's everybody shifted to a different area, like Israel and Hamas and that story, right? That's the next one, and then there's going to be a next story. So Ukraine is off the news recently, quite a bit, but things on the ground are getting worse. So a lot of even a lot of guys are able to escape because technically you couldn't leave Ukraine. Now they're getting put in jail. If you're on the street and you're within a drafting age, don't go on the streets because you might get scooped up and sent to the front lines. So the word on the street, at least from the people that are living here, and a lot of the relatives are there, is that there's not enough men on the ground for Ukraine. Anybody that's available is hiding somewhere, and things are getting worse. At least for Ukraine. So, well, and on the Russian side as well, there's a lot of lives that are being lost as well. So, yeah.
Thank you for listening to the 100X podcast. Please subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast service. We would greatly appreciate it if you could rate the show and leave us a review. This podcast is sponsored by Anchor Investments, whose mission is to build America's most generous real estate company. To learn more, please visit anchorinv.com.